The Wellness Revolution starts now.
Hello, this is Dr. Hotze. Welcome to the Dr. Hotze Wellness Revolution. I'm excited today to have a longtime friend and guest on our show who is one of the leaders in natural approaches to health. She is smarter than 99% of the doctors I know because she studied, and she's not a physician, she has studied, made this her life study for at least, it's got to be 20 or 25, maybe 30 years. How long, Suzanne?
At least 20.
20 years. This is Suzanne Somers. You may remember her from Three's Company or Step by Step back on TV in the old days. Her program, that was a very popular show. And Suzanne was a very popular celebrity and still is, but for different reasons. Tell us about your transition. What led you into making it your calling and your vocation to help people get on natural approaches to health? You've really got a dramatic story, Suzanne. Would you share that with us?
Feel that, and I'm so happy to see you again. I've sent so many people
You did.
to you, and when I'm in if they're in your area, I go, you have to see Dr. Hotze. He's the only one who gets it. And anyway, sometimes, and you know what I'm talking about, the worst things that happen to you turn out to be your opportunities. So
Right.
At the height of my success on Three's Company, I couldn't have done any better. Number one show in the country on when it mattered, and the highest demographics of any woman in television. And it was time for me to renegotiate. And Laverne and Shirley, which was another popular show at the time, had just renegotiated, and they gave ABC a colonic. So when I came along, had to renegotiate, I asked to be paid commensurate with the men who were making 10 to 15 times more than me. And yet I was on the number one show. And they fired me for asking. And I remember sitting in my living room thinking, oh, why did I do it? Why wasn't I just happy with what I had? And then I heard a voice. And I believe we all hear voices. We don't always listen to them, but we hear them. And the voice said, why are you focused on what you don't have? Why don't you focus on what you have? So now I'm talking to the voice. And I said, well, what do I have? And the voice said, you have enormous visibility. Everybody in this country knows your name. And in most parts of the world, they know your name. And I thought, yeah, that's very valuable. And that's when I realized I needed to reinvent. And that was the greatest thing that happened to me, because I would have stayed doing sitcoms. I was good at it. I would have gone from one to the next, till I finally, the last thing you play when you're getting old in a sitcom is a judge. When you're the judge, you're on your way out.
Your career's over. That's it. It's kind of like a nursing home for celebrities. Make up a judge on a TV
exactly. show. Here are the judge job. So I started selling things. I was presented with a device called the Thigh Master, and the Thigh Master turned out to be, I had bought a pair of shoes that were very expensive, and you'll like this. I was in my dressing room in my bra and underpants, and I put the new shoes on. They were nude with pointy toes and a high arch and a high heel, and they made my legs look great. And I thought, oh, Alan's going to think I'm so stupid for spending so much money on these shoes. So I go out in my underwear, and I said, how do you like my shoes? And he said, great legs. I said, that's the commercial. So the camera in the commercial, remember, started on those shoes, which I then got to write off. So it was like free shoes. And the camera panned up my leg, and I pitched Thigh Master, and we sold like crazy. It was the first one of its kind like that. The comedians picked up on it. Johnny Carson picked up on it. David Letterman, Jay Leno. Everyone was doing Thigh Master jokes. And then we thought, this is great. And so then I got cancer. Again, the worst thing that happens to you. I got cancer, and I thought, what have I done? A virulent breast cancer, HER2/neu. What have I done in my diet and lifestyle where I've played host to this terrible disease? And I realized I wasn't valuing the quality of my food. If you work on a TV show, they have a crafts table, which I call a crap table. Everything's covered in orange powder, and it's not turmeric. It's just all chemical stuff. So I was eating a lot of that, staying up late, working on books I was writing, and then I lost my hormones. I looked everywhere in the house and I couldn't find them, and went on a 3-year search, feeling awful for 3 years. I got offered anti-anxiety. I got offered sleeping pills. I got offered cholesterol lowering pills. I got, the cocktail, I call it the menopause cocktail. And finally, one doctor patted me on the back and he said, the drug companies know best, dear. And I thought, yeah, well,
you've got to be kidding me. Your doctor said the drug companies know best.
Know best. So I heard about this endocrinologist in Santa Barbara who's doing something with bioidentical hormones. So I didn't know what they were yet. So I did my lab work, drove up there on the appointed day. She looks up my lab work. She said, "Oh, you poor thing." I said, "What?" She said, "You must feel terrible." I said, "I do." I said, "I'm a happy person. I think the world would be better off without me." She said, "You have virtually no estrogen and virtually no progesterone. You're out. You're tanked out." She said, "I'm going to put you on these hormones. I can't give you everything you need." I said, "Why not?" She said, "Because you'll literally go crazy. It took a long time to lose them. You've got to build it back up slowly." She said, "But you will feel better almost right away." She said, "You'll call me with symptoms." I said, "What are the symptoms?" She said, "You'll know." And that began this journey. I responded. It took me a year, as you know, to find the sweet spot. And I was back, and maybe back better than it ever been. My brain was sharp. My hair was good. My skin was less wrinkled. My sex drive was back. My attitude about life was back. And so one of the things I always say to my listeners is, embrace the negative and see where the lesson is, because it's there. It's always there.
Well, that's tremendous. And I remember you were hospitalized for your cancer, and they were planning on doing some procedure on you, or giving you some medication, and somehow somebody met with you and said, "Don't do it," or you decided not to do it. Tell us about that.
Well, when you're presented with chemotherapy, I said, just so you know where I'm coming from, I'd rather die. And then they get mad at you because you're not going to do it. Do you know the work of Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez?
Yes.
I believe he was murdered. He was just about to publish 126 case studies to the FDA and of stage 4 cancer patients, including pancreatic cancer, that used his protocol, and all were fine. He won't use the word cured. But I interviewed a lot of his patients for my book, Knockout: Doctors Who Are Curing Cancer Without Drugs. And they all just credit him with their life and their lifespan. And he was really onto something. And they love to make fun of him. He used coffee enemas and pancreatic enzymes. And I tried to play devil's advocate. Coffee enemas, really? And I said, "Can't you just drink coffee?" He said, "It doesn't work that way." He said, "The liver is like a sponge. And when the coffee goes up through an enema, it like squeezes the toxins out." And he said, and that gets in your bloodstream. And then I give them pancreatic enzymes, which are from porcine, which is closest to ours. And they work like little Pac-Men. They go in the body and they eat debris. Cancer is debris, toxins are debris. And it made so much sense to me. So I talked to him 3 hours before he died. He had called me about some stomach issue I had, and he was fine. And at his funeral, his widow came up to me and she said, he got an anonymous phone call 2 months ago saying, "You're going to be murdered. It's going to look like a heart attack, and you won't know where it's coming from." She said, also, they said, "You should talk to Mike Baker." She said, "Do you know Mike Baker?" I said, "I don't know him, but I know he was with the CIA. And he now has a company called Diligence Inc." So I called him up and I said, "Do you know Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez?" "No." "Do you know you were mentioned in this phone call?" "No." I said, "So you're with the CIA. Does the CIA have any way to induce a heart attack in someone?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I can walk by you on the street. You won't even feel it. I'll poke into your arm." He said, 3 hours later, your heart will explode. And that's what happened to him. He had a predictable walk every day. So the message there is, don't come up with anything that really works against cancer. And I miss him every day. He's like you. I have my favorite doctors that I've interviewed. You are right at the top of the list. I always send
You
people
tell
to
you
in
tell
your
all
area.
you tell all the doctors that. I know that,
I
Suzanne.
don't.
You're
I
wonderful.
don't.
You make us all feel
I
really
don't.
special. I know.
But you are special. You are.
You're
And
sweet.
the last time I saw you, I really enjoyed
A
talking with you.
time, yeah, we had a great dinner. That was great.
Yeah.
Well, listen. Let's talk about this. Your new book, by the way, Suzanne Summer
Yes.
is no piker when it comes to writing books. She's only written 27 authored 27 books. And and so she's done a research. And listen, anybody who's got a mind and is can educate themselves, and she is so well educated because she's gone out and met with very prominent physicians in the health and wellness industry who really specialize in different features of helping people get on path of health and wellness. And she's brought it together in her latest book, which is called A New Way to Age.
I'm shameless. Here it is.
Right. And listen, Suzanne Somers, last time I saw her, she looked, and it wasn't too long ago, looked like $1 million. I'm just telling you.
Thank you.
She practices what she preaches, and it's made a difference. Look, at her level of maturity, most women, frankly, are sitting around frumpy and old, and they can't think clearly. They got Alzheimer's, and they're not doing well. And she's just on top of her game, going and blowing, and continues to promote and encourage people to get on a path of health and wellness naturally. So as they mature, they've got energy, vitality, and enthusiasm for life. There's no reason at any age. I don't care if you're 30. And I was telling in an earlier interview, I had yesterday, we saw a couple of young 30-year-old girls, ladies, in our office. I call them girls. My goodness, they're younger than my daughters. And so I look at these young ladies, and they've got all these symptoms and problems going on at 30 already. And, of course, that comes with the hormonal changes after having kids, and so that's part of their problems, and we can easily solve it. We've seen thousands of women like that. But we see women like that in their 30s, their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and there's no reason at any age you shouldn't be full of vitality and vibrant and enthusiastic about life. Now, let me mention something. I noticed I was reading your preference, and somebody said, Suzanne, how long do you want to live? And you said, well, I might like to live to be 110 years old. And he said, if you were bright and intelligent then, why would you stop at 110? He said, well, if I'm feeling good, I'll go on and live longer. Well, you may not know or may know this. This is from the Old Testament, the Bible. And I believe it's Deuteronomy 34:7 is the address, but I could be wrong on that. Anyway, this is about Moses. Now, you know the story of Moses. He led the Israelites in the desert for 40 years, and he wanted to go into the Promised Land, but because he had done something against God's will decades before, God said, you're just not going into the land. And he was on Mount Nebo, which is on the other side of the Dead Sea, overlooking the land. He got to see the land that the Israelites were going into. And it says he died. He died at age 120, but it says in the Bible, but he had sparkle in his eyes, and he was full of vim and vigor when he died. It was just his time to go. And wouldn't that be just the ideal way to die? With a sparkle in your eye and full of vim and vigor?
You bet.
And then you're transitioning and you go on to be with the Lord in heaven, and that's just the way it is. So that's why we encourage our individuals here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center, and I know you do, to get yourselves on a path of health and wellness naturally. So as you age, you've got energy and vitality and the enthusiasm for life that you used to have when you're younger. And when you do, you can, if you're going to be alive, you might as well be alive. Right.
Right. Exactly.
There's no sense of walking around with the wounded and people that just look like they got one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. You want to be going and blowing. So let me tell you something, Suzanne. My wife and I here recently, 5 weeks ago, we have a country place out west of Houston, out in the country, in the Colorado River bottom, and covered with oak trees. And I told Janie, I said, I'm going to buy us 2 horses, and we bought 2 quarter horses. And my wife used to barrel race when she was in high school, and so she didn't know what she thought about me getting these horses, but when I brought them there, oh my gosh, it flooded her with memories of all the times she had horses. When she grew up, she had horses in her backyard. And so we get on those horses and we go out on the weekend, and every Saturday and Sunday, or Friday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday. We'll ride those horses for an hour and a half each day, and she just loves it, and I love it. And it's, how many guys that, in fact, I'm getting ready to take roping lessons to learn. I've got cattle on my property, and I'm going to start roping here.
Be careful, don't fall.
Well, look. Why should I could fall at 30 or 40 or 70. I'm fine. If I fall down, I'll get back up, get on the horse. But I don't plan on falling down. So I don't worry about it. As you well know, age is age is in your mind, and you just got to, who's Clint Eastwood? You remember his song? Don't let the old man in. You've heard that? I don't know have you heard his?
Yeah, I know him. Yes,
I know that. Well, that's a great song. And they said, "How do you keep doing what you're doing?" He said, "I don't let the old man in." So anyway,
he finishes a movie at age 90 and then starts another one.
I know it. I mean, that's just he's not letting the old man in. He's going and blowing, and
because the brain believes everything you tell it. So if you program your brain that you're getting old, it'll go. It's without emotion. Oh, okay, we're getting old. My book is about aging, is about worn out parts, which is what you're talking about too. If you had a Maserati, you'd never put inferior fuel into it. And if you had a Maserati, you'd listen for every clunk and dink. And when you heard it, you take it to a mechanic. But we don't do that with our bodies. To age well now in this life extension that we've all gotten, we are living well into our 90s now. And I do think I can make it to 110. But that's life extension doesn't necessarily mean quality of life. And what you do in your clinic and what I do in my books is talk about how to restore or keep or maintain or even improve the quality of life you already have. So how do you do that? You can't have quality of life without hormones. So you have to do lab work and find out exactly what you need, which is different from what you need, which is different from what I need and he needs. And then you also have to look into your nutrient levels and your mineral levels, because the body can't live without minerals. And you start putting back everything you've lost in the aging process. And you feel like a plant that's been watered. You just have energy. And I don't even think, Stephen, that we should say, how old are you? I think it's how young is your energy, because that's the real determining factor.
Right. That's that's exactly right. And you're
and you can't lie about your age anymore. When I turned, I'm 75 now, but when I turned 65, I thought, whoa, 65. And then I thought, I'm going to sell my age. I'm going to make my age the age people want to be. And so I've done that with every year. So every year for me, it gets better relative to the message I put out, the products I put out, and it gives hope. My constituency is primarily female, but although the males are coming, the women read about the testosterone and they bring their husbands in on it. And that's when I send them to you. You want your husband to have juice, go to Dr. Hotze.
Here's what I tell men. I said, testosterone will put a tiger back in your tank. And now, now, Suzanne, most people think about it just for the sexual desires and abilities, but testosterone, as you're well aware, particularly, and this is in males, but it helps in women in the same way, but males, that's their dominant hormone, helps with initiative, assertiveness, sense of well-being, their self-confidence, their drive, their directiveness, their decisiveness, their analytical ability. All these are mental functions. The testosterone in males and the female hormones in women affect the neurotransmitters and the way your neurons function. First and foremost, it's about brain functions. The hormones is about brain function. Testosterone also, of course, affects positively the muscle tone and muscle mass in a man's body, and it affects the cardiovascular function positively, and then it affects the romantic moods and inclinations and abilities. So testosterone is a powerful hormone for men, and that's why I say when guys come in and they're 50 or 60, I know they need testosterone. I don't have to do a blood test. We do a blood test, but I don't need to do a blood test. Before they walk out in the office, I'll give them an injection of testosterone and say, we're going to put a tiger back in your tank, and within a month, you're going to feel like a new man. And you know what? And I also tell them this. I say, don't blame me if they're an entrepreneur or a salesman, don't blame me if you double your income in 2 years. And I've had literally people.
I agree with you. And
I've seen it happen over and over again.
Yeah. Whenever I bring it up around men, they always go, "Oh, I don't have any problem down there."
Oh,
and I was that's the last thing to go. But how about the heart? It has more testosterone receptor sites on the heart muscle than any other muscle in the body. And so that's your pumping power.
That's
too.
right.
That's your get up and go. So between the brain, the pumping power, and then, down there, it's like getting your life back. Alan's been on hormones now for 25 years. And I just see such a difference between him and
all these other men. Oh, sure. You go to the club, and of course you don't go in the men's locker room. I go in the men's locker room and I see all these.
I try to get in.
I know, but you're not going to pass for a man. You can't walk in. Well, I feel Suzanne Somers feels like my name is Johnny Summers today, and I'm coming in the two. I don't think
I want to be on the swimming team.
well, anyway, these guys, when they get in their 60s and 70s after taking showers, they're pasty and pale. They got a gray tone to their skin, and their muscles sag. They've got no muscle tone, and they're kind of sluggish in their thinking, and they drive in there, and they just sit around, drink cocktails, play gin and rummy until the late hours of the night, and go home and start over the next day and do the same thing.
It's a life.
I'm 71 now, and I've been taking testosterone myself since I was 46, and still take it every day. We got a 10-year plan. We've got a 10-year plan. We're driving. We're doing all kinds of things. I'm working both in the medical arena and the political arena, and plus I got my farm out in the country. We're working on that. So I'm going and blowing. And the reason I give credit to the fact that I follow the program that I preach to people. It works. And why would I want to stop it? If I'm feeling good and I've got energy and I'm going and blowing, why would I want to say, well, I guess it's time for me to stop all this and just get old? But I'm
not you
not
ever.
Going to do that. No, ma'am. So anyway,
yes, go on.
I was going to say, go down the key points and factors that you think are very helpful on aging naturally. You have 12 chapters, and let's kind of maybe hit on each one of them, the things that you think that you interviewed. Now, what Suzanne did in this book is she went and interviewed experts on these various issues. So, and I'll just read them off to you real quickly to let you know what they are. It's a chapter on nutritional imbalances, on digestion and absorption, on food intolerances, on hormone and neurotransmitter imbalances, on mitochondrial function. Remember, the mitochondria are the power plants, the generators which within each cell that produce electrical energy, oxidative stress, generalized stress reactions, electromagnetic stress, like from the 5G and all the electromagnetic waves that we have and all the various electronic equipment that surrounds us, detox pathways, immune dysregulation and inflammation, in environmental chemicals, and genetic susceptibility. So you have experts in each of these fields to discuss these issues. That's why I would highly recommend, if you want to get a good foundation on how to age in a manner that is healthy and that's going to keep you healthy and well, I'd highly recommend getting Suzanne Somers' book, A New Way to Age. Of course, you can get that on Amazon. You probably have a website. What's your website now, Suzanne?
SuzanneSomers.com.
And that's spelled S-O-M-E-R-S.
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 Right. When I write a book, one of the great things about being fired, this whole journey I've taken you on, is my name became a household name. And I started realizing the power of a name. I could call most anyone. I called you out of the blue one day. I called Ray Kurzweil out of the blue one day. I called all these doctors out of the blue because I have the ability, because of my name, to get to millions of people. And therefore, then your message becomes, spread further and further and further. When I finish this book, I always sit back and I think, so what's my takeaway in this book? Because I go in there not having it's going to be this. Everyone in every one of those chapters was saying the same thing. We're under the greatest environmental assault in the history of humanity. We have gut problems that are out of control because of the food we eat and what we put on our skin and what we're breathing with chemicals. But they're all talking about cellular health. Now, where would I know that? I don't know that. They taught me. And so there's a new supplement that our company is making, but other companies make it too, called Senolytics. And I know you know about that. So I had it explained to me, what would I want Senolytics for? It's a supplement you take once a week, but you take 3 of them once a week together. Well, the best way, I call it Suzanne speak. As our cells are, healthy, made of protein, fat, and carbohydrate, but we have so many free radicals coming in that the cells become unhealthy, malfunction, and die. So you age because you have so many malfunctioning cells. You don't want that paradigm. Senolytics, the best way I can describe it is like a broom. It comes in once a week and it sweeps out the old dead cellular debris to leave room for the healthy new ones. And then there's NAD, which came up in this book, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. But it repairs DNA damage. And so those 2 supplements alone, it's worth reading about to see how you can keep yourself cellularly healthy. And then I do these 3 shows every week on Facebook Live and Instagram. So much fun. Women don't like to drink alone, so we have a tequila. We start the show with the tequila, and they're all already bought into my message. They read my books, and we talk, and I listen to what they say. What comes up over and over and over again is my gut. And I'm sure you're hearing this in your practice too. They're constipated, they're bloated, they're dog tired. I hear that all the time, dog tired. And so we worked with a company that I work with to create a smoothie drink that has everything in it that you and I haven't had today. And you put 2 scoops in and some coconut milk and frozen fruit, things like that. Tastes delicious. I've got it right here. I'm shameless, I know. But I'll tell you, the success of this is kind of like what Thigh Master did for me. I'm an entrepreneur, so I eventually get to this. I order this in lots of 70 tons at a time. What that says to me is I'm doing well. But what it really says to me is that the gut is a huge issue. Women have been slathering cream all over them that's filled with chemicals. Right. That ends up in your bloodstream. We're eating genetically modified food. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to spray poison on our food. That glyphosate is the downfall of all of us. And then we clean our house with chemicals and we're taking it all in, constantly taking it in. And then like you said, the Wi-Fi on the iPhone and what that does to the brain. So all that is in this book to start undoing the damage you've done. And as I do listen to my customers, as you might know, I have over 1,000 products of organic skincare, hair care, color cosmetics, lead-free lipstick, household cleaning products, and they all have an insignia, certified toxic-free, which means it's got to be grown organically, extracted organically, and nothing upwind or downwind of the product to be toxic, to contaminated. It has struck a nerve with these people. That's what they want because it's not available elsewhere.
Ma'am,
how about that?
Now, I think that's,
we're playing the dumbest woman on television.
Ma'am, no, you are a very bright, intelligent, articulate entrepreneur, and you've created, you and Alan together have worked together and created tremendous businesses. And businesses, when they're successful, are solving people's problems. You happen to be you're solving health problems that people are having.
Solution,
and that's,
the day that he was in the negotiation, and he had received a call the night before for my firing. I go back to that because it was pivotal in my life. And how could you be at the top of your game and get fired? I was waiting for him to come home, and he had left that morning, and uncharacteristically, at the front door, he looked back at me and he said, this could all blow out of the water. And I said, no, we'll ask for this. They'll counter with that. We'll counter with this. Then we'll meet somewhere in the middle. So there are no cell phones at the time, believe it or not. And I'm waiting at home and waiting. It seemed interminable. And I hear the front door open, but there's a way the front door opens when it's good news, and there's a way it opens when it's bad news. And it kind of creaked open and creaked closed. Then I heard him padding up the stairs. And I met him at the landing. He looked at me and he said, "You're out." I said, "Out?" He said, "They were going to fire you the moment I walked in there." He said, "You're the patsy. You're the one they're going to prove to everybody. We can take down the biggest woman in television." But then he did something else. He put his hands on my shoulder and he said, "We're going to make this work for us. We're never going to work for anyone ever again." And that's how it all began. Well,
that's great advice. And, in every adversity, Napoleon Hill said, there's a seed of equal or greater benefit. All you got to do is find it.
You bet.
So you found that. Tell me this. How do individuals go to your Facebook? What do they go to? Just Suzanne Somers on Facebook?
SuzanneSomers.com, the Facebook page. It's really fun.
Okay, so what is
we did the whole show last week on farting.
Okay, so what is the name of the page?
SuzanneSomers.com.
That's
Facebook
all.
Page.
Okay, good. What about Instagram?
Same thing. I keep it simple.
Good. You know what? It's amazing to me that Facebook hadn't taken you down because of your natural approaches to health. There have to have been times when they've come in and said, "You can't say that. We're going to put you on, I
have to be very careful. Like, I do not discuss politics, which I'd love to, but I don't.
But it's surprising even because we've had I've had Facebooks that were strictly political, and then I have Facebooks that are health and wellness. But even on the health and wellness, we had to be careful. For instance, we couldn't say we can help you lose weight. I mean, they wouldn't let us do that because. But
you can use the word support.
Right.
Support a healthy barrier wall.
But but they put you on discipline if you were saying conventional medicine was not the right way to go. We need to do natural approaches to health. Next thing you know, you get a warning about that. So you really have to be. So it's surprising to me, as outspoken as you are, and the books that you've written. It's surprising to me that you're still on Facebook. That's amazing. Really.
Look what we're talking about. We're talking about the First Amendment is truly under attack.
It is. Sure it is.
It's very disturbing. Very disturbing.
If you don't follow the narrative of whatever the mainstream media and the conventional doctors are promoting, basically you're persona non grata. You don't have a right to say anything.
In one of my books, I asked one of the doctors, "How did it get this way that we're allopathic only?" And he said, "Well, at the turn of the century, there was a guy by the name of Abraham Flexner, and he was hired by the two wealthiest families in America, the Carnegie and Rockefeller, who owned pharmaceutical companies. And they sent Flexner around to the institutes of higher learning, Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, First Presbyterian, et cetera, offering funding in perpetuity if they would only teach allopathic medicine, meaning, here's my problem, doctor. Okay, here's the drug for that problem." And that's how all the pathics got discarded as quackery. And so, the greatest thing about having cancer was I denied the standard of care treatment and decided to go another way. And I actually had a terrible injury. The reason I said don't fall is because I fell this year. I fell down the stairs.
Oh my goodness!
It was just a freak accident. I broke my neck, my spine, and my hip, and cracked my feet.
Good night.
Here's where I learned humility. When you need drugs, you need them.
Right.
And I needed those painkillers. A broken neck, a broken spine, a broken hip, and cracked teeth is painful. And I was in bed for almost a year. And I had to take those drugs. But I found, because my body is so healthy and so clean, and I only eat organic food, I grow my own organic food, that I healed. My doctor said to me things like, "You're nothing short of a miracle," because I was that close to becoming completely paralyzed.
Oh my goodness.
So there's a payoff. But when you need drugs, you need them. But if you don't have to use them, I always choose to go natural first, always. Right. And bioidentical hormones are natural hormones, and they are under attack to some degree. It's on pause right now, but they can't take those away from us.
Well, they've been hammering on us. I sued the FDA back in 2003. We won that suit, so it's been a battle. And Suzanne Somers, you have been on the forefront of really this wellness revolution, particularly on the bioidentical hormones, which have been a godsend to literally millions of people that are on them. Mm-hmm. And so I want to commend you for that and thank you for taking leadership on that. And I've followed your leadership, and I count it just a privilege to call you a friend, and I admire you and Alan and what you've done, and I congratulate you on your success. Tell our listening audience what website to go to look at your products and look at your articles. Where do they go?
Go to SuzanneSomers.com. You can see every show I've ever done. We've archived them. And it's fun. It's informative. When you get to be our ages, the one thing that we have that young people can't buy or have is wisdom, and it's pouring all the time. And so, as something comes up in the conversation, if I can impart wisdom or spirituality in any way, I do so. So there's a lot of color in all these shows, and I look forward to it. And it just so happened to coincide with the pandemic. Couldn't go anywhere anyway. And now I love working at home. I haven't been on a plane in 2 years, and it's just been great. It's a privilege to have written all these books. I'm not done. I got actually 2 started right now. And the fact that they, Larry King was so great to me when he was alive. He'd have me on with every book. And out of my 27 books, I had 14 New York Times bestsellers. I give a lot of that credit to Larry King because he would let me speak for 1 hour on global television. And so my books became known in countries I've never been to. So I miss him. I miss him and his voice. And it's just a privilege to write these books.
Well, it's wonderful. So they can not only go to Amazon.com, but online, go to Suzanne Somers, SOMERS.com. They can find your books there, and they can find your products there.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, Suzanne.
You can even get a Thigh Master.
Well, listen, it's such a privilege to have had you on the program today. And I commend you again and congratulate you and Alan. Be sure to say hello to him for me. And we wish you every continued success. May God's blessing be upon your life so you continue to be a blessing to others. And pray that in Christ's name for you.
I honor my friendship with you. I think you're doing tremendous work.
Well, you're a sweet lady. Thank you for your kind remarks. God bless you. And now, thank each one of you for joining us today. It would be a privilege for us to partner with you. If you want to get on a path of health and wellness, then don't hesitate to give us a call here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. We'll be glad to partner with you and help you get your life back and help you get on track. Thanks so much again for joining us. I'm Dr. Hotze. Great day to you.
At Physicians Preference Pharmacy, we believe that prescription drugs are commonly overprescribed, treating symptoms only rather than addressing the underlying condition. These drugs offer a temporary fix, but they don't solve the root cause of the problem. Our approach is not about overloading people with medications that offer only a temporary fix. It is so important to recognize that you do not get sick because you have a low level of pharmaceutical drugs in your blood. You get sick because you are deficient in something or because your body is not in balance. As part of your healthcare team, we work with your doctor to restore that healthy balance. Sometimes this means replacing hormones, vitamins, nutrients, or even antioxidants. So how is this different than traditional treatment? Rather than covering up the symptoms with yet another medication, we work to replenish the body, restoring your health and restoring your wellness.
Information provided on this program is neither intended nor implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice and is not intended to replace the services of a physician, nor does it constitute a doctor-patient relationship. You should not use information from this radio program to diagnose or treat a health problem or disease without consulting with a qualified healthcare provider. If you have or suspect you have an urgent medical problem, promptly contact a professional healthcare provider or call 911. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution advises advises you to always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health provider prior to starting any new treatment or with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Any application of the recommendations from this program is at the listener's discretion.